My name is Adrian Stimson, and I am from the Siksika Nation in southern Alberta. Nistudi Danaku Apoyiskumapi. My Blackfoot name is Little Brown Boy. And I graduated with a BFA from the Alberta then College of Art and Design and majored in painting. So painting was my first love and how I see the world in many ways. And then I did my master's at the University of Saskatchewan, where I branched into performance art, installation, and sculpture and such. So I call myself an interdisciplinary artist. So I often look for the media that best suits the message. So there are many different ways of creating art, and so I often look for the best way and enjoy doing that. The name of the installation is Anthro-Obscene, and it has a number of components, from painting to sculptural elements to video, and also fashion, I would say. And it is a response to a project that I was a part of called the Gardenship Project through the University of Western Ontario, shown at Museum London in Ontario, where we are exploring the idea of gardenship, the sense of stewarding the land. And so over the past couple of years, sort of researching and thinking about what it is I wanted to present. So the works are varied, and I started off with the paintings, Awa Sukapi, which means in Blackfoot language, sometime are mostly bad, but maybe a little good. So it's sort of both. And those paintings were our direct response to climate change. In particular in Alberta over the last number of years, every summer we've been inundated with smoke from the fires in British Columbia and in northern Alberta. Well, in fact, all of the Western Hemisphere. And so that that smoke has been getting pretty thick. And the ash that falls upon the land. And so those paintings were really looking at the idea that as time progresses and climate really starts to shift, that it is going to be a bad thing. And so the effects of that on the wildlife, in particular the bird life, is huge. And where I live, there are a number of birds, different species of birds. And so for me, it's just been this witnessing the slow decline of these birds. So the paintings are primarily wood ash and then bird feathers. And I think if you look at the statistics of the number of birds that have declined in North America, it's staggering. It's worrying in the sense that I often think a world without birdsong would be one of those places of utter despair. So for me, these paintings really sort of reflect that particular concern of mine. The other pieces, in particular the gopher looking up at the bee tower, was really, I am a beekeeper and have been a beekeeper for the last 10 years. And I primarily started as a result of the colony collapses and the importance of the pollinators in our society. And we all well know that once the bees are gone, we will soon follow. And so I think there's been a great movement of a lot of people throughout the world in terms of beekeeping and sort of keeping these little creatures going and alive. So for me, it's been an incredibly enriching experience. Also one that really bears witness to the collapse. We've had good years where the bees have survived, other years where they haven't. And then their predators come along too, like the wasps, and kill hives. So there's this crazy sort of how nature tries to balance itself. But in fact, with climate change, it's really causing it to be out of balance. So for me, the tower is this ominous sort of tall black tower, a much larger bee tower than most. And it really was sort of looking at in sort of a mythological sort of way, in the sense of that if you look at, I often refer to the Lord of the Rings and the Dark Towers and stuff like that. But in essence, it's really sort of looking at also the growth and the importance of bees in our society. So the tower itself, at the top of it, has an owl. And in Blackfoot culture, when an owl lands on your roof, it's not good luck. So it often heralds the passing of something. And so it's an ominous sort of figure at the top, just sort of reminding us that, that in fact the bees are in trouble. And then at the bottom, I have a gopher. And over the pandemic, I spent a lot of time with the gophers, learning their language. And really, it was a really wonderful opportunity to get in touch with nature. And so for me, it was this opportunity to sort of observe them. And in doing so, observing their playful nature, their sort of relationship to other animals and such. And so they become this little metaphor, I guess, for ourselves in many ways. And they are also, affected by climate change. And in fact, we're a very predominant species on the Great Plains and the grasslands. And along with many other animals, in particular the bison, they declined as well. And so they're often maligned in so many ways. Or farmers love to shoot them because, of course, cattle and stuff break their legs and holes and stuff. But the fact is, and poison them. And the fact is that they are another keystone species that help in the good health of the plains. So I have the little gopher in bronze staring up at the tower with a gas mask on. Sort of, I always have to add a little bit of comedy and tragedy to my work, in the sense that, he's in trouble and he knows it, and he's kind of looking there. But looking at the tower, it's just like this tower of honey. So the sweetness, this sort of play between the good and the bad and such. So that is the one element that sort of speaks to my history with the bees. The other works that are in the show are the Bumblebee Regalia, and that was a collaboration with Lucille Wright. She's a nation member at Siksika, who is a renowned bead worker. And so I asked her to bead 300 bees for me, and I attached those bees to the regular beekeeper's outfit. And then I embellished it further with headdress and wings and moccasins and a dancing stick as well. But it also led me to understand one of our societies on the nation, which is the Bumblebee Society, and it's the children, the Bokaeks Society. It's the first society you enter into. And it really is, the teachings in there are all about the protocols in the teepee and housekeeping, which, when you think about the bees, how they take care of their homes and stuff like that. So there's this wondrous parallels. And so it also caused me to do a lot more research into that society, which has existed on my nation for many years, but now is not really there, but there is a movement to bring it back. So it really served as a number of purposes, in the sense of bringing to life the bees on the outfit, and also remembering the society and the importance of the society, and how, when you think about it, it was so well integrated into our systems and structures in all the animals, and how the bumblebee really sort of reflects the children. There's also another dancing stick with a little eagle talon on the end. And one of the things the Bumblebee Society does is they have their own songs and their own dances. And the children wear little bangles on their wrists that have little sort of prickly things. And so when they're dancing, if they come up to you and they touch you with this, they kind of sting you. So you have to kind of like act sort of very exaggerated in the sense of being stung. But it was really looked at as good luck. And so again, the beauty of the teachings of the bees. And then the other element is the little people's greenhouse. I think in all societies that there are the little people, the little tricksters, the little people who steal our things and then put them back. But for the Blackfoot, the little people are very much a part of our history. And we give them offerings all the time and such. So I did a little replica of my own little greenhouse. And so I thought about the little people, and I make offerings to them. And it was over the pandemic, so the video that's in that work really sort of chronicles my time spent on the land. From going from Australia when the pandemic hit back to my home nation, Siksika, and really just observing and trying to grow food and such. For me, food security is a very important reality that we all face. And I think that growing your own food and encouraging that within the community is something I feel that's very important. And so all of these create the installation, Anthro-Obscene as I call it, and that was borrowed from somebody who coined that term. And really sort of looking at our times and trying to make sense of it, but also be active through art in portraying, I guess, not only emotionally, but in reality what we face, or what we're going to face more as time moves on. And that we have to take action, and that we have to start really focusing on these issues in order to survive. Because I think if we look back at all artists, they reflect what's happening in their time. And this is what's happening in our time. And so as a Blackfoot person as well, you know, we are stewards of the land, and in watching the land and the slow decline of the land, it's heartbreaking. And I think for me as an artist, it's really important to in some way speak to that heartbreak, speak to the importance that the environment, the animals, the land play in our lives. And in doing so, I think hopefully it causes people to reflect themselves and reflect themselves in the environment and realize how important it is to protect it. So, you know, as they say, we only have one planet and we're not going anywhere else soon. So the importance that we, in our time, really focus on it. We have to focus on it, because if we don't, there's not going to be a future. And, you know, for a lot of, I think for everybody, but in particular Indigenous people, we always look to the seventh generation. And when you look to the seventh generation right now, their future looks pretty bleak. And I hopefully want to be part of the movement of people in our time to change our minds about how we approach the environment and the role we play in it, and be better stewards of the land we exist in.